Many thanks for your time. President of the Ghana Football Association, Nyantakyi, is the most wanted man in Ghana now following a presidential directive for his arrest. President Akufo-Addo has directed the Criminal Investigations Department to arrest Mr. Nyantakyi for allegedly using his name for dubious deals. He's wanted for defrauding by false pretense. Deputy Chief of Staff Abu Jinapor told Joy News that Nyantakyi is seen in a yet-to-be-published video using the name of the President, Vice President and other high-ranking members in government to induce potential investors to part with large sums of money.
The President of the Republic has had the benefit of viewing aspects of this investigative piece. And in this documentary, the President of the Ghana Football Association, Mr. Nyantakyi, is supposedly saying
the very celebrated journalist of our time, Mr. Anas Aremiao Anas, through his company Tiger Eye, have conducted some investigations. They have since advertised the premiering of that investigations. The President has had the rare privilege and benefits of aspects of this investigative piece. Having been seized with these facts, the President, upon consultation with his attorneys and other stakeholders and experts in government, is fully satisfied that a prima facie basis has been established for criminal investigations to be launched into the revelations of Mr. Aremiao's investigations. And in this documentary, Mr. Nyantakyi, the President of the Ghana Football Association, is supposedly seen attempting to use the name of the President, the Vice President, and other senior members of government to induce some so-called potential investors into our country to part with various sums of money. The President takes a very serious view of this. The President thinks that this falls within potential confines of criminal conduct. He has since instructed the legally mandated state security agency, the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service, to conduct investigations into this matter. The Criminal Investigation Department has since launched investigations into this matter. So that's where we are.
Joining me in the studio for further discussion on this issue are Joy News' editor Evans Mensah and Joy Sports' Gary L. Smith. Good evening to you, gentlemen. Gary, can you tell us or take us through the video that led to this directive by the President?
Well, the video is not out, as you know. It's supposed to premiere on June the 6th. However, as we heard from Mr. Abu Jinapor, the President has had the honor of seeing sections of it, and what he saw was enough for him to make this order for the arrest of Mr. Nyantakyi, where, like you heard, he used the President's name, the office of the Presidency, to allegedly defraud these investors. He said he was going to give them direct access to the President. He promised them sums of money. He promised that if they made certain sums of money available, he'll be able to carry the favor of the Presidency to be able to get certain contracts and things like that. He mentions certain high-ranking officials, including the President himself, the Vice President himself, a minister, a deputy minister, and the amounts he mentions go from about $500,000 all the way to $5 million in the bribes that he says that he can make available to these people in order to get their influence. Interesting.
Who are the other people that he mentions? He mentions, I mean, the other high-ranking people.
The President, the Vice President, a deputy minister, a minister as well. Nyantakyi says in the video that the President saw that because he was so close to the campaign of the MPP, he was offered a ministerial position as the road minister. He says that in a video.
Okay.
And he says that he neglected, he declined it because of his duties with the Ghana Football Association, so he did not take it.
Right.
However, he mentions that he has a small boy called Anthony Cabo who can help him to do that. Yes, he says that as well.
Very interesting, and it will be there'll be wild revelations tomorrow when the video is. But Evans, let's look at the directive coming from the presidency and the updates, or what do we know about the CID's investigation so far?
So, from what we know, the CID, since the directive went to the headquarters of the police, and Madam Tiwa, who is the head of the CID, they've commenced formal investigations into the matter. Earlier today, Mr. Nyantakyi, they had looked for him. Obviously, we now know that he isn't in
out of the country.
But just a short while ago, I got word that they've reached him, which may have informed the decision for him to return to Ghana tomorrow to hand himself over to the police for investigations to continue. And Gary had made the point. The president watched this last week with his team.
Right.
But the discussions had to go on about what is the right legal way to deal with this matter. And I'm sure you heard Abu Jinapo make the point that after deliberations, they were convinced that a prima facie case of defrauding by false pretense had been made, and therefore they decided today to act on it by asking the CID to now issue the criminal probe into the matter. So he'll be required to answer questions. But what we also know is that once he shows up at the CID headquarters, what is most likely to happen is that he's going to be arrested, formally read his Miranda rights, so to speak, and also formally charged with defrauding by false pretense, and then given an opportunity with his lawyers to tell the officers, police officers, what they know about this particular video, which has led to this controversy surrounding
this whole thing. But one of the things going around is the fact that he said he has the president in his pocket. Gary, tell us more about that.
Well, it's one of the quotes that we understand that he said in the video when he was speaking to the investors to give them the confidence that he indeed has, these things. So this is his quote. He says, "Ghana is the easiest place to do business. All you have to do is to give the president of Ghana $5 million and the vice president $3 million. I have the president in my pocket. I see him every day. As for the referees, you're talking about the referees in the leagues. All you need is give them 20 Ghana cedis and girls.
Like, seriously?
And they are sorted."
Wow. Very interesting.
This is a major scandal. And yes, it's gone straight to the top of the GFA, but this is going to cascade down. Definitely. Once the investigations begin.
Exactly.
There are people at the GFA, and he knows this. There are people at the GFA who will be caught up in this web. But obviously, because Nyantakyi is the person who mentions the president's name, the president has decided to take the action, and therefore he's landed straight to Nyantakyi's desk. But it's definitely going to cascade. Today, just before we went on air, I was speaking to a very senior GFA officer who was on a plane. But he says it has nothing to do with this matter. And we joked about, the joke in town, that every GFA official is corrupt and is finding his way on a plane out of the country. And he laughed and said, simply, I'm just going out there for some medical checkups. But that is what is going to be a major issue going forward.
Definitely, he won't be alone in this whole thing. But of course, leading to this, there were a lot of controversy in the sports arena. Many people accused Nyantakyi. They alleged he did a lot of things. What were some of the allegations that were made against Nyantakyi before?
There's been 1,001, and they preceded him. I mean, for as long as we've had football administration in Ghana, those corruption allegations have been there. And they've been there because the Ghana Football Association, just as a reminder to viewers, is a semi-autonomous body. It's a government on its own. So the way it works simply is that they are in charge of organizing all football activities in the country.
Right.
Now, they are so powerful and so popular because football is a national sport.
Definitely so.
And anything that has the heart of the people has control.
Definitely.
They are able to monetize it. They're able to get sponsors for it.
Of course, recently they signed a very huge contract with Xylophone Media. And
so anytime any government comes as well, they know that one of the touch points, one of the pressure points for all Ghanaians is sport, the biggest of which is football.
Definitely.
So the allegations include every tournament, even before Nyantakyi came, airlifting of supporters, but it got exacerbated, admittedly, since 2006 because Ghana qualified for the World Cup. The first instances where we saw serious allegation of racketeering, ticket racketeering, and as it were, embezzlement of money happened in 2006 in Germany. It was never substantiated, so nothing was done about it. 2008 African Cup of Nations, we heard all sorts of things, but only later did we hear that there was financial engineering, which has brought all these Woyome issues.
Definitely.
You know, people will tell you that it couldn't have been done without the GFA hierarchy, but because there's no evidence as well, nothing has been said. In every Nations Cup since 2010, there's been a World Cup in 2010. Apparently, we airlifted party supporters. You know, it gets mixed up in party politics and national politics. So, because there has been no evidence, nothing on video, nobody has been able to. And almightily, FIFA always says that if you touch any of their officials, then you are interfering in football. They are going to ban you. So people have been calling for investigations because they believe and they know, you know, that these things have happened. And now that Anas has gotten on video, the authorities have absolutely.
Does this have the tendency of affecting his duties or with the CAF?
Already, one of the first organizations to write officially to the presidency for clarification was the BBC. I was told by my colleague at the BBC that they wrote to clarify, and the angle they have taken it is that Nyantakyi is a FIFA Council member. So the headline outside Ghana will be FIFA Council member Kwesi Nyantakyi.
That's very damning.
Yes, and also at the CAF level, he's a senior vice president. So that's when people take it out of Ghana, the media houses are referring to him
on the international
scene, and that is how it becomes a problem for Ghana.
For Ghana, definitely. Sure. But coming back to the directive from the president, there are many who feel that looking at how influential or I mean his contributions to the NPP's campaign and all of that, this won't get anywhere. Evans,
once the directive has been given, it's out of the bag. I mean, it's difficult now to try and rein it in because once everybody knows the president has given a directive,
definitely
the CID is beginning the probe. The video will be watched by everybody,
by millions,
and
it's a free screening.
Yes, I mean, I find it to be impossible for anybody, regardless. And that question was asked, in fact, of Abu Jinapo on Top Story, and it was categorical. He used himself as an example that if I admitting without
if he does anything
wrong, are you expecting the president to forgive him because he's the president's friend? And so clearly in this particular matter, I don't see how the friendship will play in Mr. Nyantakyi's favor. Because the directive has already been given. The CID is probing the matter.
The video is there.
And in cases where it's shot under the carpet, is where we don't know what the evidence is. So they come and tell us what they find. But here, we are all witnesses.
We have the evidence.
We are all witnesses to the evidence, and it's impossible. I don't see how he wiggles his way around this. If this doesn't cost, remember, and because I love politics, there are political implications for this.
Definitely so.
For the president, for the government. If this doesn't go to court, these allegations will emerge, and there will be blowback.
They will.
And so it's not only in the interest of the presidency, the president and his presidency to make sure this is followed through to the end, and he's charged. Remember, it's the presidency that put forward the charge of what you call
defrauded
by false pretense. And Abu Jinapo confirmed that they, after 1 week of considering it, they came to the conclusion that the prima facie has been established. So already from that, the president would have consulted with his lawyers before this went to the CID. And so clearly, Mr. Nyantakyi is in hot waters. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I must tell you, from my sources, when he arrives, the first thing that will happen is he'll be arrested.
He'll be arrested.
Second thing, he'll be locked up. Whether he'll be granted bail, of course, there's nothing like a charge that doesn't carry a bail. So every bail, but what sort of bail will be granted tomorrow will tell us a lot about how serious the CID is.
And how this whole issue will pan out. But do we know when the GFA president is coming back to...
No, we don't know. We don't know what flight he's taking.
Before I came to the studio, I heard rumors that he says that he's worried about this whole thing, so he's coming back tomorrow.
No, that is it. Like Evan said, the CID spoke to him.
Okay.
So he's coming.
He's coming
and
tomorrow.
He will actually report himself to the CID.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what is going to happen.
Okay.
We just don't know what flight. So unless we want to stake at the airport from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and wait for him, I don't know.
I tell you, I think it's all just started, and from tomorrow we'll be able to tell how this whole issue pans out. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Gary L. Smith is with the sports team, and Evan
I forgot
Smith
to say though, the sources also tell us about the friendship that has been played up doesn't exist, at least between himself and the president.
Okay,
it doesn't exist. I mean, he has
hello, hi,
and you tell Nyantakyi is a politically astute person.
Definitely.
You don't get to FIFA, CAF, GFA president without understanding politics.
Yes.
So you need to have affiliations on both sides of the aisle, NDC and PP.
Okay.
He does have the affiliation. It doesn't go as far as the president. And so that link shouldn't be played up at all. And this is very categorical that, he knows people, but not the personal friendship that it's not there. The president is simply doing this because it's criminal, and he wants the CID to look at it.
All right, we'll be following this whole thing. We'll bring you up to date on this whole issue. Thank you very much, Evan Smith and Gary L. Smith. MPs and Peace Council are urging both factions in Bimbilla chieftaincy conflicts to accept the outcome of the Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday.
I believe that we'll give a ruling that will bring finality to the area, will bring peace to the people, and all of us will be happy the day after.
All of these plus many more coming up shortly on Joy News Prime.
Ghana will not compromise on our stand against homosexualism or lesbianism or gayism or whatever.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Let's get down to the rest of our stories. And the National Communication Authority has denied reports suggesting that board members have threatened to resign over a controversial $89 million contract between the authority and Haitian firm Kelny GVG. Kelny GVG has been recruited to stop suspected revenue losses and SIM-box fraud in the telecoms industry. Joy News' earlier report, a member of the board, Susan Barbara Boy, tendered in her resignation in protest of the contract. But in a press release issued just a while ago, the NCA maintains the former board member gave no reasons for resignation. I'll be reading excerpts of the statement to you shortly, but first here is a news desk report.
Susan Barbara Boy Kumaple is a partner and head of the Technology, Media and Telecommunications Practice Group at the law firm Benchi Enchil Lecha and Ankoma. A source within the board tells Joy News' Manasseh Azuri Awini her resignation is linked to the contentious contract, although that is not stated in her resignation letter. The source adds that more board members are prepared to walk away if the NCA continues to make such deals. Government, through the Communications Ministry, signed the contract with Haitian firm Kelny GVG in 2017 to deal with suspected revenue losses and SIM-box fraud in the telecoms industry. The board insists that the NCA, which is the implementing agency, has engineers and other technicians capable of performing the job that Kelny GVG has been contracted to do. The source also says the terms of the contract allow the company to operate from the premises of the NCA, but the board thinks the authority can acquire the equipment and do the work at a cheaper cost. President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, says the $89 million board contract is a careless duplication of jobs and a needless drain on the country's scarce resources. According to him, Suba and AfriWave were awarded similar contracts under the NDC administration to perform similar jobs, even though both contracts were also needless.
let's get on to the statement and see what the NCA has been saying. And the NCA just, okay, so the NCA says the general public and interested parties are referred to the Communication Service Tax Amendment Act 2013 Act 864, which says that the Minister for Finance, in collaboration with the Minister responsible for communications, shall establish a common platform as a monitoring mechanism to verify the actual revenues that accrue to service providers for the purpose of computing taxes due to governments. And it also talks about, under the Act 864, and revenues accruing from levies under the Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775 as amended. And it says, we wish to state that Mrs. Susanna Joko, a former member of the board, resigned on February 12, 2018. No reasons were assigned in her resignation letter. The claim that some members of the board have threatened to resign is false and should be disregarded. The board wishes to make the point that solutions offered by the common platform brings additional visibility to the communications environment and would provide benefits such as a real-time monitoring of all traffic and revenue generated from mobile and fixed network operators, real-time information on the volumes and values of transaction of mobile money, and fraud management, SIM box tracking and geolocation. And this was signed by the Deputy Communications Director, George Anda. Those are excerpts of the statement coming from the NCA. Meanwhile, Deputy Communications Minister George Anda has been defending the contracts between the NCA and Kelny GVG signed by the Minister Esla Osu. According to him, the contract is 55% cheaper than two previous contracts signed under the Mahama administration and also offers two additional functions. He told Daniel Dazi on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM that the contracts for the monitoring platform is not the reason the board member resigned.
I have cited the resignation of the NCA board member. I haven't seen anywhere in the resignation where it says that her resignation is based on the common monitoring platform. I think that if we understand the governance structure, the ministry supervises the NCA and not the NCA that supervises the ministry. So the NCA, there cannot be a situation where the NCA is contradicting the policy direction that comes from the ministry. What you are saying is not true. I believe that you do the right thing and eat your humble pie. So let's wait for the NCA board, okay? When the NCA board releases a statement, depending on which direction it goes, we can take the discussion further. None of the telcos have expressed any concern about the implementation of the policy. The Telecoms Chamber hasn't expressed any concern about implementation of the policy. They are in full support of government's decision to implement this policy. There are two concerns that they had. The one on the privacy of their subscribers' data and one on security of their infrastructure. There's no way that we're going to compromise on the spirit of the law. Whatever we are doing hasn't got access to the content of the subscriber data. I'm not sure that there's any telco that is talking to you, and I'll challenge you to name whichever telco is talking to you.
And you're still watching Joy News Prime on the Joy News channel. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you. All right, so before we go on that break, President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, has described the contract as something not worthy of the taxpayers' money. He wants government to take a second look at the contract.
What the NCA is doing is the complete opposite. They are saying you go and look for anything, whether you find anything or not, collect $1.5 million, free money, chop. Who does these kinds of things? Except somebody who does not understand the fact that it is not his or her money, and then he can waste it the way they want. Haven't you noticed the only two people in favor of the contract, the minister and the deputy? They are the only ones talking. Can't you see that the whole country, nobody is talking, even the party rank and file, nobody is speaking about the contract? Isn't it only Jordanda who is speaking? In fact, the minister has even kept quiet, but she has nothing useful to say, so she's kept quiet. It's only George who is now speaking on the matter. So the point is that at the end of the day, what we should be asking ourselves is, why are we paying money to someone or a company that's not delivering any value. So you are right about some people not being happy about it. And the NCA board, obviously, yes, some board members have reached out to us that these are the things happening, they are not happy. But just without GVG, we will make that money. We probably will make about 8 billion more.
So just for clarity, what you're saying is, with your recommendation that we give it to the GRA and the NCA to run, you're saying it will come at a cheaper cost to us as a nation?
Nobody will pay anything. You will not pay for any worthless equipment.
And we won't have to part with the over 100 million Ghana cedis or dollars that we're talking about?
Not at all.
So how come we are not looking towards there and we still insist on giving it to the GVG?
Say that again.
I'm asking, so if it's not at a cost to us as a nation, why would we want to give such a contract then to GVG?
Well, ask the minister and the deputy. They know the only reasons why they are doing that. I mean, who does that type of contract? Don't work, sleep, and then I pay you $1.5 million.
Okay.
Don't do anything. Then I give you $1.5 million. You see, it's the tragedy of the commons. What belongs to you, you tend to take care of. What belongs to everybody tends to fall into disrepair. That's why somebody said if you give money to government, it's like giving car keys and gin to teenagers. It's just wasted, right? It's sad. It's very sad that the whole minister can be going around holding this type of project, claiming that it's value for money. Meanwhile, they've not calculated the value. They should set it aside. And in any serious organized society, the minister should be answered.
We take a break and we come back. It's business.
Hello again. Good evening to you. It's now time for business. Senior lecturer and economist with the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, says the central bank will struggle to deal with proposed actions to be taken against gold buying firm Menzgold. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Mensah described the activities of Menzgold as an intermediary between individuals who want to buy gold and the gold market. He says their activities fall under what he describes derivatives market, for which the central bank lacks appropriate regulations needed to deal with them.
As it stands now, Menzgold is, a gold dealer. Menzgold is not registered as a deposit-taking institution. So Bank of Ghana needs to be careful as to how they handle the situation. Now, Bank of Ghana can only step in to close down. Let me go straight. Menzgold only when they realize that Menzgold has been registered as a deposit-taking institution. Therefore, individual depositors' funds are exposed. But as it stands now, they are not registered as, deposit-taking institution, therefore giving out loans here and there. But when they are in business, they ask you to bring your money. We're going to buy gold for you, right? So they are more or less mediating between the gold market and then, those who are prepared to buy gold. Now, as to whether those who are going to buy those gold, the kind of interest that they're looking out for in buying the gold, more or less depends on the gold market price. Let me put it that way. So once you put it in that form, it forms kind of a package that will put it under derivatives, right? But then our market for derivatives is not that grown yet. So I'm wondering whether the Bank of Ghana has, that kind of regulations to say that Menzgold is operating in a form of derivatives, because the actual asset in itself, you might not get it, because people buy gold, in terms of value. So therefore, waiting for appreciation of gold prices or gold, gold dust prices for them to realize their profit or interest for going on that venture. So Bank of Ghana will struggle for now as we speak as to how to control this issue.
Now, former Managing Director of Barclays Bank Ghana, Patience Achianu, has been appointed as the new Group Chief Executive Officer of Hollard Ghana Holdings Limited. According to a release from the Hollard Group, she's expected to start work in October this year after she officially bows out of Barclays Bank in September. There's more in this report.
Madam Achianu recently resigned from Barclays Bank Ghana, but expected to continue until 30th September 2018 when the bank finds a successor. She now joins Hollard as new Group Chief Executive Officer of Hollard Ghana Holdings Limited. The former Barclays Bank boss worked as the Managing Director of Barclays Bank Ghana for 5 years and was the Finance Director of the bank before her elevation. Prior to joining the Barclays Bank, Madam Achianu was the Chief Finance Officer of Standard Chartered Bank of South Africa. She has over 17 years' experience in the banking industry and has a track record of building high-performing teams with a passion for excellent customer service. According to the release, Mr. Daniel Ado, the Managing Director of Hollard Insurance Ghana, and Idris Nashiru, the Managing Director of Hollard Life Assurance Ghana, will both report directly to Madam Achianu.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Paul Ansa, has attributed the slow growth of the country's export sector to the inability of exporters to access credit facilities with low interest rates. According to him, the traffic growth at the ports is mainly for imports and international transit trade. Paul Ansa made the revelation during a panel discussion on the second day of the CEO Summit here in Accra.
Out of the 1 million EUs, that is 20-footer containers, 484,000 are export containers, and only 25% are loaded containers. Wow. 25% are exported empty, which is a clear indication of how imbalanced our trade is against exports and the need for us to do everything that we can to grow the export sector. So the trade is heavily imbalanced.
Wow. That's such a big problem. But you continue. I wanted to get some comments on that, but you go on.
Absolutely. And so it was about a month ago when we gathered all the actors involved in the export sector in our boardroom at the port to find out why the export sector is not growing. And it was interesting. That is not to say that...
so why is the export sector not growing?
Of course, the export sector is suffering from credit.
Credit?
Absolutely. The cost of credit is making it... I'm not saying they are not having access. They are having access, but the cost of credit to manufacture at competitive and export at competitive rates within the international arena, that is a problem. And then also the exporters, the level of support that they need from the state agencies required to ensure that they grow. That is also, it was very evident, the meeting that we had, that the level of collaboration between the private sector and the public sector, it is not very forthcoming.
So our trade balance will not be very positive, from what you are saying?
It will definitely not be very positive from where I sit, so far as the commodity trading is concerned. I remember containerized traffic contains the value-added commodities that must be exported. Right? So if that is not growing as much as it should compared with imports, we definitely have serious imbalance.
Now, diagnosing diseases can become quite tricky if you don't possess the right medical equipment. Since it started operating about 8 years ago, Sunshine Healthcare has been offering world-class diagnostic expertise with a wide range of laboratory and imaging services. It is one of the firms you will meet at the Accra Digital Center when the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show opens on Thursday. Chief Executive Bernard Joseph has been speaking with us ahead of the event.
We have definitely been able to prevent a lot of deaths which would have otherwise taken place if we had not worked 24/7 in emergencies. So there are a lot of people with stroke We have been able to do a quick diagnosis. They've been managed, and I'm sure that we have saved a lot of lives. So that's one of the biggest things that we have contributed to society. And the second thing is, of course, as I told you, that we are available on all the holidays, public holidays, etc. You'll be surprised at the number of cases that we get. May 1st, for the public holiday, we did 21 CT scans. Of them, 17 were either a bleed or an infarct. And thank God that they came here, we were able to do the study, we sent them back to the doctors, those patients could be stabilized, and then probably on the second they could be attended to. So I think these are some things that we really stepped in place. Road accidents, in the night you need to do multiple x-rays. So when they just call us, we are here. The important thing is that we've been able to inform the general public that today they have access to world-class diagnostic facilities in Ghana. So you don't need to move out of the country to get these facilities, which are now available at your doorstep. So that's something that we have done. And our reports, as I told you, have gone. A lot of Ghanaians have dual citizenship. So our reports, our films, our series have been taken abroad to their specialists. It has been extremely well received. So doctors, we have been able to create an opinion that good reports can also be produced in Ghana. So I'm happy to be a part of that system.
So remember, the Health and Wellness Trade Show starts at 11 a.m. on Thursday, the 24th of May at the Accra Digital Center. And that's all we have for you by way of business tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good evening.
This is Joining Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has charged the judiciary to embrace technology as a means of dealing with corruption and fast-track cases that come before it. He made the call as he launched an electronic case tracking system on Tuesday. The new system will enable the police, prison service, and the Attorney General's Department to get to know in real time the status of each case pending before the court so as to expedite action on them. There is more in the following report.
The country's criminal justice system has over the years been described by many as slow and largely inefficient, as it takes years for cases to be decided. As a result, not many people are desirous of frequenting Ghana's courts. Stories of cases being adjourned many times abound, while those of accused persons who are kept in remand for years get human rights activists talking. In a bid to address this, the judiciary has developed an electronic case tracking system to enable heads of various law enforcement agencies to be aware of cases pending at the courts. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who launched the new system, challenged the judiciary to embrace ICT to become more efficient.
We remain firmly committed to the success of this project, and I can assure you that the government of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will do all in its power to ensure its success and sustainability. Having said this, it is important to note that a system is only as effective as the stakeholders permit it to be. No doubt, the successful implementation of the project is going to hurt the fortunes of some. Some people really benefit from the status quo. Some people benefit from the inefficiency. They derive a lot of rent. And so bringing in a new efficient system, they're not going to allow it to come in without a fight. And you have to understand that as you implement this system, there is going to be pushback from beneficiaries of the status quo. And so you will see that this is going to hurt the fortunes of some selfish, corrupt, and unpatriotic actors in the justice delivery chain who would therefore want to do everything to sabotage the process.
The challenge was taken up by Chief Justice Sophia Kufu, who committed to ensuring members of the judiciary embrace the new system.
This is a wonderful opportunity to radically transform the delivery of justice in our country and make it a model for other nations in the sub-region to emulate. I once again implore all stakeholders to play their roles effectively to ensure its success towards the assurance of total quality criminal justice.
On her part, Attorney General Gloria Kufu urged persons who will be responsible for entering data into the system to be diligent.
It is important, therefore, that as we feed in information, we do so with accuracy. And it behoves all of us, my office, the prison service, the judiciary, the police service, that we continue the collaboration. As I understand it, the sponsorship has a 3-year lifespan. I pray that our collaborative effort will not die with the end of the assistance. I'm hopeful that as we operationalize this new system, we will deal timeously with challenges that are bound to come and which will be teething problems for us.
The system is expected to become operational from September this year.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime and bring you showbiz when we return. But later in the bulletin, Parliament takes a tough stance against same-sex marriage, saying it will not be coerced to legalize homosexuality.
Will not compromise on our stand against homosexualism or lesbianism or gayism or whatever.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories, and we head straight to the northern region, where the Supreme Court will on Wednesday bring finality to many years of protracted chieftaincy conflict in the northern region town of Bimbilla. The conflict claimed many lives and destroyed several properties. Natives of the town will know by Wednesday whether the Nakbatna family or the Dasana family is qualified to rule Bimbilla. There is heavy security presence there to ensure there are no disturbances before, during and after the judgment. My colleague Seth Kwame Boateng produced the documentary Bullets or the Skin 2 years ago, which highlighted the effect of the conflict on the lives of the people. He's been engaging residents of Bimbilla ahead of this ruling.
The sounds of gunshots have rung through the homes of many living in Bimbilla in this fight between two families from the same gate. Scores of people have been killed and several children have become orphans as a result of the conflict. A struggle between the Nakwana family and the Dasana family from the same gate over who becomes the next king is the cause of the violence, as Reverend Father Michael Cobb of the Yendi Peace Center tells me.
It happened after the 1999, after the death of the sitting chief, Na Baraka. There was a need for a successor, and once it's the rotational gate matter, it went to the other gate, that is the Bumaili. But efforts to get a substantive chief has always been difficult, from one court to another court to another court.
The murder of Andani Dasana Abdullahi in his palace on the 19th of June 2014 further deepened the conflict. The chief was assassinated shortly after evening Muslim prayers. The town is currently under a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, and it has been so for many years to avert further bloodshed and destruction of properties. This has affected everything from business through to education and health.
We want peace, no more war. We want peace.
The residents, especially the youth, say they are tired of this conflict and are demanding peace. So ahead of this make or break Supreme Court ruling, the youth from both sides have come together appealing to all to accept the verdict.
Bimbilla is our land. What is happening is not going into anybody's favor. The roots, the aged, the people are being grounded to a halt. Businesses have come to a halt over the counterproductive curfew that have been imposed on the people. Farmers are crying. The students, like you talked about, life here in Accra is not easy. We have been here struggling. The image the media has given to Bimbilla is affecting almost all of us. That is why we are passionately appealing to everybody. The time has come, like you rightly say, break or a makeup. We must look beyond the future. We must look at the future of the unknown.
My heart bleeds when I look at the rippling effects of this conflict over time. People might not see the effects now, even though some have already manifested, but looking into the future, there are more things that we have to ponder over. Let's take a quick example as to the businesses in Bimbilla. Most businesses have collapsed due to this conflict, and I'm preaching that my parents out there, my uncles, my grandparents, my fellow women especially, because we are most vulnerable when it comes to war. We can't fight, so let us be a catalyst to preaching peace and development.
I'm appealing to my grandparents, my parents, my colleague youth, women, everybody. Let us choose peace. Let us embrace peace. We are one family. You are either related through marriage or through any other family relations. Everybody knows everybody.
Member of Parliament for the area, Dominic Nitu, is anxious, but he believes all the sides will welcome the outcome and ensure that peace returns to Bimbilla.
If I say I'm not anxious, then I would not be telling the truth. I am. But like I said, I have positive reviews about the Supreme Court. I have a lot of confidence in what they do, a lot of confidence in the judges, and I believe that they will give a ruling that will bring finality to the area, will bring peace to the people, and all of us will be happy the day after. So I appeal to the people, and I appeal to the supporters, I appeal to the contenders, I appeal to even well-wishers that whatever the Supreme Court finally sees, we should say glory to the Almighty.
It is no secret that Bimbilla needs peace. Peace to ensure development for the town, to bring back the smiles on the faces of children and adults here, whose lives have been marred by the decades-old conflict. For Joy News, this is Seth Kwame Boatin.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Peace Council of Ghana, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, is pleading with the people of Bimbilla to accept the outcome. He's been speaking exclusively to Joy News ahead of the court ruling.
If the Supreme Court says that it is this, let us put whatever feelings we have down and let us unite together and ensure the development of the place. After all, what is it that people are looking for? Is it my individual pleasure, or is it the development of the whole? Because the development of the totality of the people will also ensure my, so efforts are being made. Let me tell you that we have even brought them to Dodowa for us to Georgia under the auspices of the Ministry of Security, Kandapa's ministry, so that at the end of the day, a brother will be able to say, look, in spite of all my feelings about the whole thing, let us hold one another. This is how far we can go.
Have you had much success? You think the ground is prepared?
I would want to believe that they didn't give us any indication that the ground is not being prepared. The fact that even the barrier took place, okay, not in a manner that we might have, wanted it to go, but the people comported themselves, even though later there were skirmishes here and there. We want to believe that the people's sense will prevail and that they will allow peace to prevail in that area. I'm very sure that the security agencies are also not sleeping on this matter. I mean, they have contingency plans. That I'm not in a position to divulge it, okay? But my appeal to the Bimbilla people is that this is your area. This is your, you're talking about an area that your traditional area. Ensure that it is not engulfed in flames, and don't destroy the traditions that you have. Ensure that at least peace will prevail, and so that you can go about your normal business and ensure development in the area.
Reverend Professor Asante wants the media to be circumspect in reporting the outcome of the ruling so as not to inflame passions or aggravate the already fragile situation.
I will also want to use this platform to appeal to the media, those in the north and outside, to be very circumspect in their reportage on the matter. It can be very, very, very explosive. Because, at the end of the day, we shouldn't have victors and the vanquished. Bimbilla should win on this matter. There should be peace at Bimbilla for the people to be able to live in peace and ensure that development takes place there.
When you say circumspection on media reportage, how exactly do you want the reportage to go?
Explosive situations calls for wisdom, tact in your reportage. You may have what you consider to be the truth. It is important for us to sit back and say, by reporting this way, is it going to help the situation or not? Am I going to inflame passions? Am I going to throw, if you like, fuel to a burning flame? And that's what I mean by being circumspect in the way we go about things. Do your investigations carefully. And sometimes it is important for us to even ask ourselves, is it even necessary for me to come out on this issue at all? You know, and how do I do that? That's what I mean by circumspection.
OneUp Ghana has been doing a lot of work aimed at maintaining peace in Bimbilla, and ahead of the landmark ruling on Wednesday, we will be discussing what this means for the people of the town. National Network Coordinator Albert Yeliang joins me via Skype. Many thanks for your time, Albert. Hello, Albert. You're on Joineys Prime.
Yeah, thank you.
So
yes,
you've been doing a lot of...
and good evening to your listeners.
Well, you've been doing a lot of peace work in Bimbilla for years. Do you think this ruling will bring finality to the conflict?
Yes, that is the expectation of everyone, because the kind of work in Bimbilla from various stakeholders, from the side of government, the civil society, so we expect that the people themselves, local groups, have been working to ensure that the environment is enabled to receive the and they have faith in the court, and they are expecting that the outcome is something they will embrace.
Well, we've heard how badly the conflict has also affected the economy and the lives of the residents. I mean, what steps will they have to take to rebuild themselves?
Let me say that the verdict itself is something that is going to address the critical legal issues.
I'm afraid we're losing...
And we expect building to continue after the verdict. Sorry?
Yes, Mr. Yeliang, you're on Joineys Prime.
Yes, yes. And we expect that the peace building should continue after the verdict. They are a family, and they took an adversarial approach. We still need to create a platform for them to address the critical issues of the conflict. For instance, to formalize succession of conflict, to not be vulnerable to be lured into violence and conflict. And there are also still other things that are happening.
Well, we're losing Albert Yeliang there. But Albert, if you can hear me.
In the northern sector, and the northern region
I'm afraid we'll have to end the interview. We're losing Albert Yeliang there. We'll try and bring him back to continue with this conversation, because it's very important knowing that there's going to be a verdict on this long protracted disturbance in Bimbilla, and of course the verdict will speak a lot in bringing back the sanity of that town, Bimbilla. We have Albert Yeliang back on the line. And Albert, you were telling me about how the people should put their bits and pieces together after this verdict.
Yes, exactly. I'm saying that once the verdict has been pronounced by the court, then there is a lot that still needs to be done. The people have to continue to engage. There has to be the platform for them to be engaged, to reconcile. Sensitization has to go on, education has to go on. It is not easy for anyone to lose a case like that. Both parties expect that they win, and they believe in the merits of their cases. And so, but I think the ruling generally will be in favor of Bimbilla. It will be for the stability and peace of Bimbilla. It will be one that will create the environment for investment, for economic activities, for agriculture, and for general development in the area and for peaceful coexistence. So we need to do a lot of peace-building work after the verdict so that structures are formalized and that we work towards addressing the structural causes that make the people themselves vulnerable to engage in violent actions.
I think that the peace-building work should actually start from now, before the verdict. And I know you've been preparing the minds of these people to accept whatever the outcome may be. Tell us about some of your advocacy work there.
Let me say that ONEP Ghana, together with several other stakeholders, we can talk about the National Peace Council, the Regional Peace Council, supported by donors, and also SEND Ghana, Care International, Action Aid, the Catholic Church, the Yendi Peace Center, Satellite Peace Center. All of them have been engaged in Bimbilla and trying to sensitize the communities, building their capacities through trainings, and also creating the platforms for dialogue so that they themselves come up with activities that they will address, they will implement towards addressing their relationship so that they together think positive and think peace for the area. We have engaged a number of youth groups on the ground. These are groups that very often are vulnerable to violence in view of their exuberance and the fact that they probably are not more aware of the issues and about life. So these youth groups have been engaged, and constantly they themselves are taking the lead in engaging other groups on the ground and to tell them that, look, Bimbilla belongs to us and we are the future, of Bimbilla, and then we need to build the environment. The conflict has affected us so much over the period. We are losing our future. We are not engaging in economic activities. And so it is important that we think again that when it comes to the chieftaincy, it is only one person who will be there at a time. And so we only need to support that person, whoever comes or is appointed to be the chief, so that all of us can think that we have one identity and we are numbers, and that we promote the area rather than make it an area that everyone dreads to be there.
We know that, and that's a good job you're doing there dealing with the youth, because a lot of the times they're the ones who spark up some of these disturbances. But we also know that opinion leaders play a key role in all of this. If there's going to be any stability, opinion leaders play a key role. Are you engaging this group too?
Yes, the various processes that we have engaged, the trainings, the dialogues, the community sensitization through radio and other things, direct engagement. They themselves have identified key people who should be engaged, and we have done that together with the stakeholders that I have mentioned, the Peace Council, for instance, to let them play key roles and for them to see that yes, you have your case and that is how you think, but then there is a need to coexist with the other group. That you are interdependent on each other. And the fact that you are in relations means that you need to be conscious of how you go about thinking of addressing or having your interests or needs met. And so a lot has gone on, and some of them I would not want to talk about, mention names, specific names of groups, for the fact that these are groups that have trust for us and will not want to break that trust which they had entrusted in us.
Right, many thanks. You'll be following keenly this issue tomorrow and bring our viewers up to speed as to what transpires at the Supreme Court. Albert Yalyang is the National Network Coordinator of ONEP. Now, Parliament is taking a tough position against any attempt to legalize same-sex marriage in Ghana. The legislators say they will not, under any circumstance, accommodate the phenomenon which is gaining root in some developed countries. The right and acceptance of homosexuality was high on the agenda during the recent Commonwealth meeting in the UK, where Prime Minister Theresa May pushed for reforms among member countries to accommodate the practice. Well, today in Parliament, members took a strong stance, warning the executive not to bow to pressure to legalize LGBT.
We wouldn't have been here if men were marrying men or women marrying women. We wouldn't have been given birth to. Who would have been in this house? We should put all these things across and let them understand. Mr. Speaker, let us give them an opportunity, suffice me to say they should come out here in public and tell us that, yes, they are men or boys who have sex with their colleague men or boys. And if we would have even one of them who will come out to come and accept that. Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that needs to be discussed everywhere, and I hope that we in this House will continue to preach against it, even on our platforms, so that you don't go getting calls from your constituents telling you that they have fistula when they are men instead of women who have given birth legitimately.
World Health Organization has declared that it is not a right issue. It is a serious danger to public health. It is beyond, there's no doubt about that. Just as people who deal in drugs like cocaine and heroin, it's a social problem and it's a health issue. Just as those who deal with Indian hemp and what have you are social issues, so is homosexuality. And we should not be treating it with kid gloves. I mean, like my colleague from Medina said, show me one animal, group of animals that practice same sex. But we are all told that science says that we are the highest category of animals. We are the highest because God has given us the wisdom to be able to think and differentiate between left and right. Even those that could not really differentiate between left and right are not doing it. So how can you have those who really have their head on their neck doing it and say that it's their right?
Mr. Speaker, one say he wants to have sex with a colleague man, like Butaka. I would not want to even mention a name because it doesn't make sense to me. Mr. Speaker, I think such individuals, I don't want to say they have mental problem. I see a lot of people, excuse my language, these people called mad people on our way, who are mentally challenged. They don't go for their kind men to have sex with them. And for that matter, if you say it's a mental problem, I think that it's not. But I think that's a spiritual problem. Because such individuals, we need to pray for them. They need serious prayers. Mr. Speaker, they need deliverance.
There had been reports that President Akufo-Addo met British Prime Minister Theresa May after the Commonwealth Summit to discuss the issue. But Minister of Foreign Affairs Shirley Ayoko-Botwe told Parliament the President did not make any such commitments.
Say on authority that His Excellency the President met with Mrs. May on 3 occasions. The first was during the meetings proper, that is the Chogo meeting. The second was at the official reception, and the third time they met was during the retreat. Nowhere during any of these meetings was this subject touched on. It was not broached at all. I was quite surprised to find in the media that she had made such a statement, because all the meetings in which His Excellency the President participated. I was there, and yet this never happened. I'm not too sure when it was said. It was not at the Chogu meeting. Where the President had a meeting, it was not said there. So this reportage, I don't know where it came from. She may have said it somewhere else, but the President was not there. The President has also stated categorically that it will not be during his tenure that any such approval by government will happen. He said it. And therefore, please, let us not misquote anything that the President has said. And let me also say once again that if this happened, it was not in a meeting where we were present.
Well, the second Deputy Speaker, Alban Bagbin, has announced the official position of Parliament on the issue of same-sex marriage.
This is not an issue in Africa at all. It is no issue. We are pro-life, and we know the purpose of creation. We will not stand against God, and we will not be misled once more by those who believe they are civilized. The future of the world belongs to Africa. We will not be misled again. And so, this is the strongest indication from the House, and if need be, we may move to a motion one day and resolve to give direction to the country. This is a matter that people are trying to force on us. We are no longer the small boys and girls of any country. And so we will not take it. And we're looking forward to leadership, if need be, for us to come to the House to debate it and resolve, to give a clear indication to everybody that Ghana will not compromise on our stand against homosexualism or lesbianism or gayism or whatever.
Let's stay in Parliament a little longer because the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu wants the Interior and Defense Ministers to move beyond rhetoric and discipline police and military personnel involved in recent clashes in Tamale. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry told the House a 5-member committee is investigating the incident.
A preliminary investigation has been carried out as a prelude to a 5-member committee composed from the 2 institutions and the Attorney General's Department to conduct detailed investigations into the causes of the clashes and recommend any further interventions beyond the existing guidelines and protocols. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure you that any person found culpable after the investigations shall be dealt with according to law.
Whilst applauding the move, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu wants the minister to back his words with action.
On the statement ably made by the Minister for the Interior, assuring the country that our peace and security is doubly assured, we will take his word. The security agencies of our country are up to the task. Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt in my mind that the 2 institutions in this Ghana who still uphold the value of discipline is the military and the police service, and the military in particular. We cannot allow for a sacrilege where they themselves will lead the process of lawlessness. Mr. Speaker, we trust that there will be rapprochement, and we trust that the minister will keep his eye so that it's not just Tamale. the people of Ghana needs to be assured that they will not wake up any other day hearing that those who should be arbiters in resolving and ensuring enforcement of the law and ensuring peace are themselves undermining the peace.
Away from Parliament, a partly blown off roof, an uncompleted building, and children sitting on bare floors for lessons. This is the situation at Tampurum Konkua Primary School at Sumbrungu in the Upper East region. The precarious nature of the school has made it unfit for a place of learning and even a danger to pupils and teachers there. Joy News' Upper East correspondent Albert Sori visited the school and now reports.
Strong winds threaten to blow off the roofing sheets that shelter children from harsh weather conditions. Inside, some of Ghana's future leaders busy with their lessons. This is the Primary 2 class at the Tampurum Konkua Primary School at Sumbrungu under the Bolgatanga municipality. The children in this classroom sit on the bare floor, their legs stretched in front of them to carry their books as they listen and take notes from their teacher. Above their heads, the roof of their classroom is gradually ripping off. The rainy season has already started, and for the pupils here, that means their lessons will be frequently disrupted.
We're not feeling good at all because when it do rain, we're supposed to go home because when we stand there, the rain will fall on us. We want the government to give us chairs and reading books, and they should finish our school.
This school is the only one for the Tampurum Konkua community, but it has many challenges. All the classrooms here have their roofs partly blown off by rainstorms, and the building itself remains uncompleted. It is without windows and doors. Felix Akolgo is the headmaster.
This school was ripped up last year in March 27th, and in May this year, the rainstorm came and blew up the rest of the roofs. The school enrollment have come below expectation because of the nature of the school. No place for teaching and learning. The classrooms, no furniture. They are sitting on the floors. And when they put the book on the ground is so rough that they even puncture the papers.
According to the assemblyman for the area, Robert Awure, the contractor who won the tender to construct the school in 2006 cannot be traced because he is based in Accra.
The excuses that he's given is that they haven't paid him, and that is why he has not been able to complete the school. And I think that government has to do something about it, because how do you give this 6-unit classroom from a contractor from Accra to come and build it in Sumbrungu in Bolka district, when we have people who can equally do, and where the community or the assembly can equally and conveniently get the person to come and do what he hasn't done.
Pupils of the Tampurum Konkua Primary School are appealing to governments and philanthropists to come to their aid. For now, they will try to make do with what is left of their school building, and when it rains, there will be no school.
As on top of the hour, let's get to know stories making headlines. And GFA President Nyantakyi wanted by police CID following revelations of suspected fraudulent dealings in yet to be broadcast expose by investigative journalist Anas Arimeo Anas. And business economist and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, says the central bank will struggle to deal with proposed actions to be taken against gold buying firm Menzgold. And growing pressure on Communication Ministry to abrogate $89 million contract with Haitian ICT company Kelny GVG, which civil society groups say has no value for money.